Tim in North Dakota, thanks for waiting. Yeah, you had a question for us.
Hello.
Hey, Tim.
Whoa. Okay. Well, wow. There's not much time, but yeah, I'm hoping not to get in an argument. I'd like to call you guys again in the future and have a couple discussions, but for this time, I figured it'd just be kind of interesting. I don't fully understand, why does an atheist value rationality so intensely?
Why doesn't everybody value rationality? Is there anything more valuable than rationality?
Do you value rationality?
Rationality is this notion that I would like to be right about the universe. I would like my internal model to be supported by evidence and be as accurate as possible. Who wouldn't want that?
What about, so that I can see how that makes sense for you, but what about
oh my God,
people who just believe? No, sorry, I do actually want to know.
It's called logic. It's the basis. It doesn't just make sense to me. It makes sense to all of us. It makes sense to you too. Do you not value rationality?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, then let's stop pretending that it just makes sense to me.
Say that again.
Then let's not pretend that it just makes sense to me. I'm pointing out.
No, it doesn't.
I'm pointing out that rationality is a goal because it is about accuracy of the model in your head in comparison to the accuracy in compared to the actuality. And so I don't understand why anybody wouldn't value that, because if you're going to cross the street, you look both ways, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look both ways and you see a bus coming, but you don't care about rationality and you just decide, I feel like that's a delusion, you're probably going to get hit by a bus, aren't you?
Yeah, I would agree. You probably would. I think
so. So what is the downside of rationality? Why shouldn't we care about it?
I don't think there is a downside of rationality.
Cool. What's more important than rationality?
I'm a fan of rational thinking.
What's more important than rationality?
Totally. I'm going to argue. Well, no, I'm not going to argue. I would say faith, but the reason I'm calling.
Okay, we can pause. So by faith.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
I was hoping to carry the conversation in a different direction, but we can go.
Too late. What do you mean by faith? Because you just said faith is more important than rationality. And as far as I'm concerned, faith is the excuse people give for believing things when they don't have a good reason. And therefore, faith is gullibility. Is there any position that one could not justify by appealing to faith?
I'm actually not sure if I would say faith is more important than rationality. I don't know.
You did say faith is more important than rationality. Are you retracting that?
I think I might be, yes.
Okay, then what's more important than rationality?
I'll just say, rationality is the most important right now.
Cool. So your question that you called in to ask us is, why is an atheist rationality so important? And my answer is because by your own admission, it's the most important thing.
Okay. What I was hoping to ask is why is it important to you? Why is it important to you that, I worded that weird. Why is it important to you that other people have absolute rationality? What's the harm for people who just believe in whatever they want and maybe it does get them killed? Why is that important to you?
Because I have to share space with them, and because I care about them, and because their lives impact my life. And so if you are so irrational that you go walking across the street and get hit by a bus, but you don't have the money to pay for your medical bills, the rest of us are going to have to pay for that. Mm-hmm. If you don't accept that there's a pandemic going on and you decide that you're just going to trust God and not wear a mask and not social distance, then you are the reason why we have over 300,000 Americans dead and are setting new records. I'm not saying you specifically. I care that other people are rational because what they do has an impact on my life as well.
And we don't like seeing people get killed.
What about? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with that. What about for people whose ideas don't harm anyone? They're completely
like what?
Neutral for them.
How can you differentiate what's harmful or not? Because anything can be harmful in a certain light.
Can it?
Yeah, love can be harmful. Yes.
What do you think can't be harmful?
take for instance Joe Schmo, who thinks that the universe is made of energy, or
The universe is made of energy.
God is energy, that believes in pantheism, and all of their gods in their pantheistic idea are just loving and caring and want the best for people.
Okay.
People,
because if that's not true, then what we have is someone who believes something that's not true, and their belief is going to inform their actions, and they're going to take actions based on an assumption that something is true when it's not. Beliefs have consequences, and beliefs inform actions, and those actions have consequences other. And more importantly, the person who believes that in whatever benign thing you want, if it's not in fact true, then their brain used a heuristic to evaluate that claim and wrongly came to the conclusion that that claim is true. Now that claim itself may not directly be a negative, but the heuristic that resulted in the incorrect belief, that is a big problem, because we don't just think about one thing one way and one thing another. The process by which we evaluate whether or not something is likely to be true or not gets used over and over again. So if you have a heuristic in your brain that leads consistently to this one false belief, how many other false beliefs is it leading to?
And how are those bad for those people?
He just explained it.
If it's not true,
I didn't pick it up then.
Okay.
Can I try?
Sure, go.
If you believe things that are not true, that belief itself isn't harmful. The fact that you can believe things that aren't true means that you can't necessarily differentiate other things that are true or not true that could be harmful.
Okay.
If you had a calculator and it sometimes gave you the right answer and it sometimes didn't, even if it guessed, even if it got the wrong answer, but it was maybe close enough, the problem here is that the calculator itself is broken, and that means you can't rely on it to consistently give you the best answer.
Even if it is right.
Even if it got it right accidentally. It's like saying, hey, I'm going to hold up a jar and ask people to figure out how many gumballs are in it. Now you could guess and say 17. And if it turns out you're right, that will reinforce the notion that your guesses are reliable when in fact they are not. And when the next time you go guess, like, hey, how much of this drug should I take? And you guess, that's going to have consequences.
That whole even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. So that's why, I want things that work. And by the way, I want to make this clear, because this is frustrating for a lot of people, Tim. When I talk about rationality and nothing being more important than that, that's not in any way diminishing emotion, love, compassion, all of the things that make us human, cooperation, community, all of those things are valuable, but they're also rational. People are like, oh, well, love isn't rational. Actually, while you may not always have a good reason for falling in love, the actual process of love, the bonding that takes place and caring for other human beings is in fact rational. You could be a monumentally selfish person, a complete selfish prick, and they come to the realization that you should still treat other people with respect and decency and support their life, because we are stuck intertwined on this planet. Rationality, I can't think of anything more important. But that does not mean that the things that make us human and the things that make us enjoy life, in addition to rationality, like compassion, cooperation, community, love, etc., those things are valuable too. I'm not advocating for it. This is like the Spock thing. We're back to Star Trek. We're going to begin the show and end the show with Star Trek. It's like logic is the beginning of wisdom.
Yeah. Is survivability more important than rationality? Is the propagation of the species more important?
I don't know
about that.
So what if it turned out?
Why I told you guys.
So this is a value judgment thing, and that's different.
Okay.
So we're talking about something different from like an is and an ought. The rational world tells you about what is. It doesn't tell you what you ought to do. And so it doesn't say you ought to care about the propagation of the human species, because after I'm dead, it obviously is not going to impact me, but it is going to impact other humans.
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn anything today?
The reason
I did.
I tuned in very late. I'm sorry about that.
No, from this conversation that we just had, did you learn anything?
Conversation.
I would say I can see your point on how if you have a faulty reasoning in one aspect, that can spread to others. I still have more questions I'd like to call later, but I can that's
Please do.
that point for you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you again, really.
Yep. Cheers. And
I
happy
look forward to-
holidays, whatever you are.
Whatever you celebrate.
Yep.